I was reading this book. I think it's called Mastery, and there's a quote. There's a chapter on it. It's like learning to embrace the plateau
That's awesome.
because there's these I find in learning something there's this kind of immediate initial excitement that people have when it comes
Yeah.
to learning something new, and you're filled with vigor and you're filled with excitement, and then you get results as well, right? And
Yep.
because you're going from, let's say, nothing to something.
Right.
And then eventually you will get to a point where you're plateauing. And it's at that point where people just lose interest. And if you learn to, revel in the plateau,
Yes.
and it comes from the author was a keto, Aikido, is it?
Oh, are you talking about the little book by George Leonard,
Is it George Leonard?
where it's a small book? He's a
It's
was he a
it's not a big book.
no, very small book. I feel like is
Hang
it
on, I'll
George
tell you who
Leonard?
it was.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know because there's a quote in that book. If I think it's that book, I feel like it is that book.
Called
Um,
Mastery, and it's George Leonard. Yeah, George
Yeah,
Leonard.
yeah, yeah. It's an amazing book, man.
What a book.
My one of my favorite quotes of all time comes from that book where he's talking about um why, amazing basketball players like Larry Bird and so on are the best. And he says it's because they do it every day, right? Embracing the plateau. And I think the quote is something like, practice isn't something that you do, it's something that you are. In
Mm,
other words, don't try to be the noun, do the verb. And if you can't do it for a lifetime, why bother doing it for a day?
yeah, yeah. It's fascinating, and it's like really reassuring. And I think everyone, especially now, should read that book
Yeah,
because it's it's just so reaffirming. Like it's just like be process oriented. And
yeah,
if you're process oriented, the results will come. And it's not to say that you should persevere with everything. I mean, sometimes, it's just not worth it, and you might just be shit at something,
right.
like which is fine
Right.
as well. But you'll still get value out of the experience of persevering for a period of time because you'll learn something that may
Yes.
end it to something else. But any kind of habit, you don't need to be like 6'5" to um, you know to do a habit or
Right.
there are some things that you can be greatly benefited from being tall for, like
Totally.
being, and I'd be shit at that because I'm not tall.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, if you take all the guesswork out of it, I think in this day and age, I mean, it's funny, Paulie, like I am so grateful, um, and in love with the personal development industry. And yet I have a lot of issues with it. Sometimes it's also like the bane of my existence because to me it emphasizes this notion that you can be better and you can improve and you can, if you do certain things and you start to take on a growth mindset, there is a greater life waiting for you. Brilliant. But if you start to sort of peer too far over the cliff and fall, that becomes the reason why you're not as successful as the top 0.001% is because of you.